the timeless tapestry of Greek mythology, there exists a tale of quiet grace and celestial wonder, a story of a creature who soared above the earth untouched by time. This creature is Pegasus, the winged horse whose name has come to symbolize freedom, beauty, and inspiration. His story is not one of loud battles or fierce conflicts, but of serene moments and divine gifts that ripple through the skies, leaving an eternal mark. Born from the blood of Medusa, Pegasus emerged into the world under the gaze of the gods, destined for a flight that would carry him beyond the limits of mortal understanding. His wings, vast and powerful, carried him on a journey through the realms of gods and heroes, where he would find his place in the stars themselves. As you listen to the story of Pegasus, let your mind wander with him on gentle breezes through the heavens. The quiet grace of his flight and the soft glow of his presence will guide you into a peaceful rest. If you enjoy this journey, please like, subscribe, and share where you're watching from. Now, let us begin the myth of Pegasus, a story that will carry you through the peaceful skies and into the heart of ancient Greece. In the quiet realms of ancient Greece, where the divine and mortal worlds intertwined, the birth of Pegasus is a tale as serene as it is extraordinary. His origins lie within a story steeped in myth and mystery, a moment that would forever change the heavens and the earth. Pegasus was born of an unlikely union. His mother, the Gorgon Medusa, once a beautiful maiden, transformed into a creature of terror by the gods. Medusa's hair, once golden and radiant, became a writhing mass of serpents. Her gaze turned to stone anyone who dared to meet her eyes. But even in her cursed form, Medusa was a figure of immense power, feared and revered by gods and mortals alike. It was the hero Perseus, sent by the gods, who would ultimately bring about Medusa's downfall. Armed with a shield of polished bronze, a sword forged by the gods themselves, and the guidance of Athena, Perseus set out to face the Gorgon. In the dim light of a cave, Perseus beheaded Medusa, the source of her terrible power silenced forever. Yet, from the blood that spilled upon the earth, something unexpected emerged. From the drops of Medusa's blood, a winged horse, pure and divine, was born. The birth of Pegasus was an event of quiet wonder, a creature that carried both the terror of Medusa's legacy and the promise of a new beginning. As his form emerged from the ground, Pegasus spread his wings, graceful and magnificent, reaching towards the sky in a moment of divine rebirth. His wings were vast, and they shimmered with an ethereal glow, as if the very essence of the heavens had been captured within them. The earth, still echoing from the fall of Medusa, seemed to breathe a new life as Pegasus took his first powerful flight. He soared above the rocky landscape, a vision of divine beauty that was both gentle and awe-inspiring. His wings, strong and steady, carried him across the open sky, where the winds whispered his name. In the moments of his birth, there was no tumult or violence. It was not the clash of swords or the fury of battle that gave birth to Pegasus, but a calm, peaceful emergence, as though the world itself had held its breath in awe. The world, it seemed, was destined for a moment of divine grace, a moment that would echo through time as Pegasus ascended into the heavens, carrying with him the legacy of both Medusa and the gods. As the mighty wings of Pegasus unfurled, he took flight, his hooves lifting from the earth with a sense of purpose. There was no struggle, no resistance, only the steady beat of wings that cut through the quiet air. Pegasus was born not out of conflict, but of transformation, an ancient cycle that mirrored the quiet yet powerful nature of the divine. The birth of Pegasus would mark the beginning of a journey that would take him to the heavens and beyond, carrying him through the realms of both mortals and gods. But for now, in the stillness of his emergence, he was a creature of pure serenity, born of a moment as fleeting as the breeze. There would be no rush to fame, no desire for glory, only the calm, eternal flight that would define his existence. As he rose into the sky, his wings carrying him ever higher, the world below seemed to fade away. There, in the quiet expanse of the heavens, Pegasus was free. Free from the curse of his mother's blood, free from the expectations of gods and men. He was a being born of the earth, but destined for the stars, a creature of the air whose flight would never cease, whose wings would carry him on forever. And so it was that Pegasus began his journey, an immortal, serene figure who would forever soar through the skies. The myth of Pegasus, born from the blood of Medusa, would become a symbol not only of the god's power, but of the delicate balance between creation and destruction, life and death. In the stillness of that moment, with the winds whispering softly around him, Pegasus ascended into the skies, leaving behind the world of mortals for the eternity of the heavens. And as he rose, there was no fear, no anger, only the quiet, eternal flight of a creature destined for greatness. After his miraculous birth, Pegasus's path would soon intertwine with that of another hero, the renowned Perseus, a figure whose destiny was marked by great feats and divine aid. Perseus would come to play a pivotal role in the life of Pegasus, though their meeting would not be one of grand battles or sudden heroics. It was a quiet connection, one grounded in fate and the whims of the gods. Perseus, the son of Zeus and the mortal Danae, had already been destined for greatness. His tale began with a prophecy, a tale foretold by an oracle that set him on a journey far from the comforts of his childhood. Perseus's first great challenge would come when King Polydectes of Seriphos, desiring Danae's hand in marriage, sent Perseus on a perilous quest to slay Medusa, the Gorgon who could turn men to stone with a single glance. It was on this quest that Perseus first encountered Pegasus. The hero was aided by the gods, who bestowed upon him powerful gifts, a reflective shield from Athena, a sword from Hermes, and winged sandals, allowing him to fly. As Perseus ventured to the dark, lonely cave of the Gorgons, he would face Medusa in a battle that was as quiet as it was fateful. His shield, held at arm's length, allowed him to avoid her petrifying gaze, while his sword struck swiftly, severing her head. But from the blood of Medusa's severed neck came more than just terror. It brought the birth of Pegasus. This moment, serene and extraordinary, marked a new beginning for both Perseus and the winged horse. As the blood of Medusa fell to the earth, the great horse was born, his wings unfurling in a magnificent yet peaceful emergence. Perseus, having achieved his task and secured Medusa's head, looked upon the creature before him, a being born of both divine power and mortal fate. The connection between Perseus and Pegasus was born not of friendship or camaraderie, but of shared destiny. Perseus, ever the hero, would carry out the god's will, while Pegasus, born of conflict, would soar across the skies, guided by the unseen hand of fate. Their bond, though brief, was one of quiet understanding, for neither sought glory, but rather peace in their shared journey. Once Medusa's head was severed, Perseus sought to return to his home of Seriphos, where he would confront the tyrannical King Polydectes. Yet, as he prepared for his journey home, the gods had one more gift to bestow upon him. A final task, not of danger or violence, but of quiet resolve, would see Perseus and Pegasus once more in the same space, though their paths would no longer be aligned. Perseus, with his newfound power and the blessings of the gods, would not ride upon Pegasus, but would rather allow the creature to be free to follow his own path. The two would part ways, not with conflict or drama, but with a sense of serene understanding. Perseus, bearing Medusa's head, flew across the heavens with his winged sandals, and Pegasus, with his wings spread wide, ascended higher still, soaring above the world with a quiet majesty that would never fade. In that moment, the connection between the two heroes, though silent, became clear. Perseus, the mortal who had carried out the will of the gods, and Pegasus, the divine creature born of their actions, were both symbols of the same eternal truth, that even the most extraordinary of myths begins in quiet moments, and that sometimes the most powerful connections are born in silence. To understand the emergence of Pegasus, we must first reflect on the tragic and divine circumstances that gave birth to him. His creation was bound to a story of transformation, of fate, and of powerful beings whose actions would echo through eternity. This chapter takes us back to the moment when Perseus, armed with divine gifts, embarked on his legendary quest, the slaying of Medusa. Medusa, one of the three Gorgons, was once a beautiful woman. Her allure was so great that even Poseidon, the god of the sea, was struck by her beauty. But Medusa's beauty would become both her gift and her curse. The goddess Athena, driven by jealousy and anger, punished Medusa for what had transpired in Poseidon's temple. Athena transformed her golden locks into writhing snakes, and her once beautiful visage was distorted into a horrifying sight. Medusa was no longer simply a woman, but a creature capable of turning any who gazed upon her to stone. Now, alone and feared by all, Medusa resided in a desolate, distant corner of the world, hidden away with her two immortal sisters, Stheno and Euryale. She was a creature of the shadows, her once charming beauty lost forever, replaced by a terrifying and unnatural form. But as with all myths, a hero would come to challenge her fate. Perseus, the son of Zeus and the mortal Danae, was tasked with a seemingly impossible mission. King Polydectes, ruler of Seriphos, had been desirous of Danae's hand and sought to rid himself of Perseus by sending him on this perilous quest to retrieve the head of Medusa. Perseus had no choice but to obey, knowing that success meant his survival and the safety of his mother. In preparation for his journey, Perseus received divine assistance from several gods. Athena, the goddess of wisdom, provided him with a polished bronze shield, whose reflective surface would allow him to gaze upon Medusa indirectly. Hermes, the messenger god, gave him a sword capable of cutting through the Gorgon's hide. Finally, Perseus was gifted winged sandals, a magical item that would allow him to fly swiftly to the Gorgon's lair, where none had dared venture before. It was in the darkest of caves, hidden in the remote corners of the world, that Perseus would confront Medusa. The cave was silent, and the air was thick with the cold presence of ancient power. The slithering sound of Medusa's serpentine hair echoed in the silence, but Perseus remained calm, focusing on the task at hand. With the reflective shield held before him, Perseus peered into its polished surface, avoiding Medusa's deadly gaze. The Gorgon, unaware of his presence, turned in the shadows, her snakes hissing as her movements disturbed the air. With great care and precision, Perseus inched closer, his every step guided by the reflection of Medusa's deadly form. The moment came quickly. With the swift movement of his sword, Perseus decapitated Medusa. Her head fell to the ground with a dull thud, her serpents still writhing in the aftermath of her death. As the lifeless body of Medusa collapsed, the air seemed to grow still, the world holding its breath at the enormity of the act. Yet, even in the silence that followed, something extraordinary occurred, something that would change the course of myth forever. From the spilled blood of Medusa emerged a new life, a divine being, Pegasus. As her blood soaked the earth, the winged horse sprang forth, fully formed and magnificent, his wings unfurling with a strength that could only be divinely ordained. His presence was a quiet grace, as if the very essence of the heavens had been captured within his form. It was a peaceful emergence, one that seemed to speak of transformation, rebirth, and the quiet hand of fate. Pegasus's birth was a reminder of the quiet power that lay within even the most violent acts. Though Perseus had slain Medusa in pursuit of his quest, the divine and miraculous nature of Pegasus's birth was proof that from destruction, life can still emerge, untouched by the turmoil of the moment. In the stillness of the cave, Perseus gazed upon the newly born Pegasus, and though the hero was a man of action, there was no rush to claim or tame the magnificent creature. Instead, he allowed Pegasus to rise freely into the sky, a silent symbol of the connection between the mortal and divine realms. As Perseus took the head of Medusa, preparing for his return to Seriphos, he knew that the task was not yet complete. But in that moment, amidst the quiet aftermath of the Gorgon's fall, Perseus witnessed the birth of something beyond the scope of his mission. Pegasus was not simply a creature of legend. He was a divine gift, a symbol of beauty and freedom that would transcend the moment of his birth. After the momentous birth of Pegasus, a new chapter unfolded in his journey, a chapter marked by flight, freedom, and the boundless skies. It was not simply the birth of a winged horse that made Pegasus extraordinary. It was the grace and power with which he took flight, soaring above the earth as if born to rule the heavens. The scene is one of serenity and awe, a world where the divine seems to pause in reverence for a creature of such pure beauty. The moment Pegasus's wings unfurled, stretching wide and powerful against the heavens, the world below fell away. The air itself seemed to hold its breath as the majestic creature rose from the earth, his wings cutting through the stillness of the sky with the quiet strength of a force much greater than any mortal being. There was no rush in Pegasus's ascent, no fear, no struggle. It was as though the very heavens themselves welcomed him, guiding him into the skies with open arms. With each powerful stroke of his wings, Pegasus climbed higher and higher, his form becoming nothing more than a silhouette against the golden glow of the sun. The wind beneath him seemed to whisper, as if encouraging him to take flight farther, to reach for the stars. Pegasus was free, not just in the sense that he could fly, but in the purest form of freedom, the kind that is unburdened by time or mortality. As he soared above the earth, he was no longer bound by the rules of the mortal world. His wings were his own, his flight a reflection of the divine essence within him. In this moment, Pegasus was not just a creature born from the blood of Medusa. He was a symbol of a higher calling, a being whose freedom was woven into the very fabric of the cosmos. As he flew, he became a living metaphor for the unrestrained nature of divinity itself, a force unbound, untethered, and eternal. It was a flight of discovery, a moment where time seemed to stretch and the world below became a distant memory. The mountains, the rivers, and the forests all seemed to fade as Pegasus's wings cut through the air with unmatched grace. Each beat of his wings carried him further into the unknown, into the infinite possibilities that lay in the sky above. For Pegasus, there was no destination. The journey was the destination. There was no hurry to reach any specific point in the heavens, only the calm, eternal act of flight itself. It was an existence that transcended the limits of mortal comprehension. His wings were not merely a means of transportation, but an expression of his divine nature, allowing him to dance among the clouds, to ride the winds that blew across the world. The earth below remained a distant memory as Pegasus continued his ascension, becoming one with the skies. It was as if the very air around him knew of his destiny and welcomed him with open arms. The clouds, like soft pillows, moved gently in his wake, as if trying to keep up with his majestic flight. The stars above began to glisten, their light reflecting the purity of his form as he glided toward the heavens. For Pegasus, the flight was not about power or grandeur. It was about the inherent grace of existence itself. There was a peacefulness in his ascent, a quiet understanding that the skies were his rightful home. As he flew higher, he was not simply a winged horse. He was an eternal symbol of freedom, a reminder that the soul can soar beyond the limitations of the earth and reach for the infinite. But even in his flight, Pegasus remained connected to the mortal world. As he moved through the skies, he carried with him the memory of his birth, the connection to the hero Perseus, and the legacy of Medusa's blood that had once stained the earth. Though he soared far above the world, he was still tethered to it by the very nature of his creation. In this quiet moment of flight, Pegasus became a creature of both the earth and the heavens, a being of dual existence, one foot in the mortal world, the other in the divine. It was a balance that would define his journey, for though he was free to roam the skies, he would always carry within him the echoes of his origins. As Pegasus's wings continued to beat steadily, a sense of calm settled over him. There was no need for haste, no need for anything but the quiet rhythm of his flight. The wind sang softly around him, and the world below seemed to disappear into a haze of mist and memory. He was a creature of the air, born to soar, born to be free. It is in this moment of flight that the true nature of Pegasus becomes clear, not just as a mythical creature, but as a symbol of the very essence of freedom. His wings represent the boundless potential of the spirit, unconfined by the earth below or the limitations of the human experience. In his flight, Pegasus reminds us of the quiet strength that lies within all of us, the ability to rise above our challenges, to take flight into the unknown, and to embrace the infinite possibilities of the world around us. As he soared through the skies, Pegasus became a living embodiment of peace, freedom, and the eternal journey that stretches across the heavens. His flight was not just a movement through the air, but a representation of the divine harmony that governs the cosmos. It was a flight that would never end, as timeless and eternal as the stars themselves. As the immortal Pegasus soared through the skies, His existence took on an even greater significance, for he would soon encounter another hero, one whose own fate would intertwine with his. This hero, Bellerophon, was a prince of Corinth, a nobleman who had once been cast out and was destined for greatness, though his journey would be filled with its own struggles and trials. The meeting of Bellerophon and Pegasus would be a quiet yet powerful moment in both their lives, a moment that would forge a bond between them, one that would endure through the trials of myth. Bellerophon's life began in turmoil. Born to the mortal Eurynome, he was the son of the god Poseidon, though he was unaware of his divine heritage for much of his youth. His tale is a story of transformation, of a hero who rose from humble beginnings to become one of the most renowned warriors in Greek myth. But it was not through conventional means or the pursuit of power that Bellerophon rose to prominence. His path was shaped by the intervention of the gods, whose quiet guidance would push him toward the greatest of challenges. In time, Bellerophon became entangled in the conflicts of the gods and the world of mortals. His troubles began when he was unjustly accused of a crime he did not commit. In order to clear his name, Bellerophon sought the favor of King Iobates of Lycia, who sent him on a series of nearly impossible tasks. Among these tasks was the slaying of the Chimera, a monstrous creature that terrorized the land, its fire-breathing head and serpent tail striking fear into the hearts of all who encountered it. It was here, in the midst of these trials, that the fates of Bellerophon and Pegasus converged. The gods, ever watchful of mortal destinies, had chosen to aid the young hero in his mission. Bellerophon, like Perseus before him, was granted divine assistance, not the winged sandals of Hermes, but the more powerful gift of Pegasus, the winged horse who had already proven his strength and divinity in his flight across the heavens. The story of how Bellerophon and Pegasus came to be connected is not one of immediate familiarity or ease. At first, Bellerophon was unsure of how to mount or control the great winged horse. The bond between them was not forged in a single moment of heroism, but in a slow and quiet understanding, a trust that would grow over time. The gods, in their wisdom, had bestowed upon Bellerophon a golden bridle, a magical gift that would allow him to control Pegasus. With it, Bellerophon was able to mount the magnificent creature, and, together, they became a force to be reckoned with. Their first flight together was not marked by fear or uncertainty, but by a sense of peaceful purpose. As Bellerophon sat astride Pegasus, the two seemed to become one, man and horse, mortal and divine, bound together by the will of the gods and their shared journey. Together, they soared through the skies, cutting through the clouds with a sense of calm that was both humbling and inspiring. It was during this flight that Bellerophon truly came to understand the power of Pegasus. The winged horse was not simply a creature of flight and strength. He was a symbol of the divine, a creature that embodied the freedom of the gods themselves. Pegasus, with his steady wings and graceful ascent, reminded Bellerophon of the vastness of the world around him, the infinite possibilities that lay beyond the reach of the mortal realm. The quiet beauty of Pegasus's flight stirred something within Bellerophon, a deep sense of awe and reverence for the gods who had guided him thus far. Together, Bellerophon and Pegasus embarked on the quest to defeat the Chimera, a creature whose very presence was a testament to the chaos and destruction that could be unleashed upon the world. But with Pegasus by his side, Bellerophon was not merely a mortal hero. he was part of something greater, something divine. The strength and grace of the winged horse, coupled with Bellerophon's courage and skill, made them an unstoppable pair. The battle with the Chimera was fierce and dramatic, but it was also a moment of quiet determination. Bellerophon, mounted atop Pegasus, used the horse's speed and agility to strike from the air, avoiding the Chimera's fiery breath and biting claws. The Chimera, though a formidable opponent, was no match for the synergy between Bellerophon and Pegasus. With a well-placed strike, Bellerophon pierced the creature's heart, ending its reign of terror. This victory marked the beginning of a deep bond between Bellerophon and Pegasus, one forged in the heat of battle, but one that would endure through the trials that lay ahead. It was a bond that went beyond mere heroism. It was a bond of trust, of mutual respect between a mortal man and a divine creature. As they returned to the heavens after their victory, Bellerophon and Pegasus became inseparable. They were not just allies in battle, but companions on a journey that would carry them through the realms of both gods and men. Pegasus, once born from the blood of Medusa, had found a new purpose in the world. A purpose that was not defined by the violent past of his creation, but by the quiet grace of his flight and the strength of his partnership with Bellerophon. The connection between Bellerophon and Pegasus was not one of grand speeches or dramatic moments, but of a shared understanding. Together, they became a symbol of the divine intervention in the mortal world, a quiet reminder that the gods watch over the lives of those destined for greatness, guiding them toward their true purpose. Bellerophon's destiny, intertwined with the divine fate of Pegasus, was not yet fulfilled. With the majestic winged horse beneath him, Bellerophon faced a challenge that would test not only his strength, but his courage and resolve. The gods, in their infinite wisdom, had chosen him to embark on a quest that seemed insurmountable, a task that would solidify his place among the greatest of heroes. The Chimera was a monster unlike any other, a fearsome creature with the head of a lion, the body of a goat, and the tail of a serpent. It breathed fire and spread terror wherever it roamed. The creature was said to dwell in the rugged mountains of Lycia, a desolate land where few dared to tread. Its mere presence was enough to strike fear into the hearts of even the bravest warriors. The gods, however, saw in Bellerophon the potential to overcome this terror. With Pegasus by his side, he would ride into battle against the Chimera, and in doing so, he would earn his place among the stars. The task was daunting, yet Bellerophon knew that he was not alone. With the golden bridle given to him by the gods and the power of Pegasus beneath him, he was ready to face whatever lay ahead. The journey to Lycia was long, and the path was treacherous. Bellerophon and Pegasus flew through dark skies, their wings cutting through the air with effortless grace. The wind whispered around them, and the vastness of the world spread out below. It was a quiet journey, filled with the hum of Pegasus's wings and the occasional distant thunder. The world, it seemed, was holding its breath, as if awaiting the outcome of this great task. As they neared the mountains of Lycia, the air grew colder, and the landscape below became barren and rocky. The towering peaks of the mountains loomed ahead, their jagged edges reaching toward the sky like the teeth of some ancient beast. The ground below was covered in a blanket of mist, and the silence was almost oppressive. There, in the heart of these desolate mountains, Bellerophon and Pegasus found the Chimera. The creature was a sight to behold, a twisted amalgamation of beasts, its lion's head roaring with fury, its goat's body bristling with wild energy, and its serpent's tail writhing in the air like a living weapon. Its eyes burned with an unnatural fire, and its breath was a blaze that scorched the earth beneath it. The chimera was both terrifying and magnificent, a creature that seemed to embody the chaos of the world itself. But Bellerophon, with the steady presence of Pegasus beneath him, felt no fear. It was not arrogance that kept his heart steady, but a quiet understanding that this moment had been preordained. The gods had chosen him, and they had given him the means to succeed. Pegasus, with his wings spread wide, seemed to understand this as well. The bond between man and horse was unspoken, but it was a bond of mutual respect and trust. The battle began as the chimera unleashed a mighty roar, its flames shooting into the sky. The heat was intense, but Bellerophon did not falter. With Pegasus soaring above the creature, Bellerophon avoided the flames with graceful agility. From above, he saw the chimera's every move, its lion's head snapping and its goat's body rearing with menace. But Pegasus's speed was unmatched. With each powerful beat of his wings, they soared higher, making it difficult for the chimera to land a blow. Bellerophon, with a steady hand, drew his spear. He had trained for this moment, and he knew that his victory would depend on precision. With a quiet but determined focus, he aimed his weapon at the chimera's heart. As Pegasus flew in a wide circle above the creature, Bellerophon saw his opportunity. The lion's head turned to roar, and in that moment the young hero struck. The spear flew true, striking deep into the beast's chest. The chimera's roar faltered, and for a moment everything was still. The creature's flames sputtered, and it thrashed in agony, its movements growing weaker. It was in that final quiet moment that the beast was slain. Bellerophon had done what no other hero had been able to accomplish. With the strength of Pegasus and the divine favor of the gods, he had slain the chimera. The world fell silent as the creature collapsed to the ground, its body still and lifeless. Bellerophon and Pegasus circled above, surveying the aftermath of their victory. The mountains, once shrouded in fear and darkness, seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. The skies cleared, and for the first time in many years, the people of Lycia could walk without fear of the chimera's wrath. As Bellerophon landed with Pegasus beside him, the quiet beauty of the moment settled over them. The battle had been fought, and the monster had been slain. Yet there was no great celebration, no triumphal roar. There was only the peaceful realization that the gods had chosen wisely. This victory, quiet and resolute, would mark the beginning of a new era. One where Bellerophon and Pegasus would be remembered not for their battles, but for the grace with which they carried out their fates. The battle with the chimera, though a moment of intense action, was also a defining moment for both Bellerophon and Pegasus, a quiet reflection of their combined strength, courage, and grace. The creature's defeat was not marked by a loud clash or a burst of fireworks. Instead, it was a serene yet profound victory that rippled through the world, changing the course of destiny for the heroes involved. With the chimera slain, a strange peace descended upon the rugged mountains of Lycia. The once terrifying beast, whose fiery breath had struck fear into the hearts of all who lived nearby, now lay still, its form lifeless and silent. There was no need for triumphant roars or celebrations, no crowds to cheer the hero and his divine steed. Instead, the world seemed to take a collective breath, the quiet aftermath of the battle settling over the land like a blanket of calm. Bellerophon, having struck the fatal blow, dismounted from Pegasus and approached the fallen creature. The air was thick with the lingering scent of smoke, and the ground beneath his feet seemed to hum with the energy of the battle that had just been fought. But there was no joy in the young hero's heart, no sense of gloating or triumph. There was only the quiet satisfaction of knowing that the task was complete and that peace had been restored. As he stood before the Chimera's lifeless body, Bellerophon felt the weight of the moment. This victory, while significant, was just one part of a greater journey. He had been chosen by the gods to rid the world of this monster, but in doing so, he had proven himself worthy of their trust and guidance. The gods had given him Pegasus, and together they had accomplished what was once thought impossible. Pegasus, ever the calm and steady companion, stood by Bellerophon's side. The winged horse's eyes seemed to reflect the quiet understanding between them. Two beings, one mortal and one divine, bound by fate. Though they had just faced a formidable foe, there was no sense of arrogance or superiority. Their bond was not one of boastfulness, but of mutual respect. Together, they had carried out the god's will, and now, with the Chimera defeated, they could rest. The people of Lycia, who had once lived in fear of the Chimera's fiery wrath, began to emerge from their hiding places, their faces filled with awe and gratitude. They saw the young hero and his winged steed standing together in the aftermath of battle, and they knew that they had witnessed something extraordinary. But even as they gathered around, there was no clamoring for praise or recognition. The victory was not about Bellerophon's fame, nor was it about the glory of the gods. It was about the quiet restoration of peace, the end of a reign of terror, and the serenity that followed. In the days that followed, Bellerophon and Pegasus remained in Lycia for a time. They were not treated as conquerors, nor were they adorned with lavish gifts or ceremonies. Instead, they were allowed to rest, to enjoy the calm that followed the storm. And in that quiet repose, they began to understand that their journey was not yet over. The gods, ever watchful, had sent Bellerophon and Pegasus to defeat the Chimera. But this was only one task in a series of trials that lay ahead. The bond between the hero and the winged horse had been solidified in battle, but their true challenge had yet to come. It was a challenge that would test not only their strength, but their very place in the world, their connection to the divine, and their role in the cosmic balance. As Bellerophon and Pegasus rested in the tranquil mountains of Lycia, the winds whispered of what was to come. There would be no grand celebration, no feast to mark their victory. Instead, there would be the quiet understanding that their journey was far from over, that the gods had more in store for them. The peaceful defeat of the Chimera was only the beginning of a much larger story, one that would take them beyond the mountains of Lycia and into the realms of gods and immortals. In the stillness of that time, Bellerophon and Pegasus shared a quiet bond, a bond that went beyond the triumph of battle. It was a bond of trust, of understanding, and of shared purpose. The world had been saved from the terror of the Chimera, but the true nature of their journey was only beginning to unfold. And so, With the chimera's body lying still in the mountains, the wind carried away the last echoes of the battle. The skies above seemed to open up, inviting Bellerophon and Pegasus to continue their flight toward new challenges, new adventures, and new trials. The victory was theirs, but their journey had only just begun. After the quiet but powerful victory over the Chimera, Bellerophon and Pegasus had fulfilled the task set before them, and the winds began to shift, guiding them toward their next chapter. As the hero and his winged steed left the mountains of Lycia behind, the air around them seemed to hum with the whispers of the gods. Their journey, though marked by great triumph, was one step closer to its culmination, the moment when they would return to the divine realms, where their place in the grand order of things would be cemented. The return to the gods was not a sudden event, nor was it filled with fanfare. There were no dramatic battles, no enemies to defeat. Instead, it was a quiet passage, a gentle ascent from the mortal world into the heavens. Bellerophon and Pegasus, having completed the task they were given, now found themselves moving toward the divine, ready to be embraced by the gods who had watched over them from the very beginning. As they ascended into the sky, the world below seemed to grow distant, the mountains and valleys fading into a blur of memory. The wind beneath Pegasus's wings grew soft, a gentle current that guided them upward, higher and higher, into the realm where gods and immortals resided. There was no hurry in their ascent, no sense of urgency. It was as if the very air was calm and welcoming, inviting them to join the divine forces that governed the cosmos. The gods had been watching all along. They had seen the courage of Bellerophon and the steadfast grace of Pegasus. They had seen the quiet strength with which the hero and his divine companion had carried out their mission. And now it was time for them to return, to find their place among the stars and the immortal beings who had once sent them on their journey. But this return was not one of confrontation or drama. It was a peaceful reunion, a moment where the mortal and divine met in perfect harmony. Bellerophon, once a mortal man who had faced countless challenges, now found himself ascending into the heavens, guided by the wings of Pegasus. The two had formed a bond that went beyond the physical, a bond that spoke of trust, courage, and divine intervention. As they approached the realm of the gods, Bellerophon and Pegasus felt a sense of quiet understanding. This was their rightful place. It was not a place of power or dominance, but a place of peace and reward. They had not sought glory, and they had not sought fame. Instead, they had simply carried out the will of the gods, each in their own way. Bellerophon had used his skill and courage, while Pegasus had provided the grace and strength of the heavens. Together, they had completed their divine task. Upon reaching the divine realm, the gods welcomed Bellerophon and Pegasus, not with celebration or praise, but with a quiet, eternal acknowledgement. The hero and his steed had earned their place among the immortals. They were not to be glorified, but to be remembered as symbols of quiet virtue, of the quiet strength that comes when one acts not for personal gain, but for the greater good. As Bellerophon dismounted from Pegasus, the two stood together before the gods. There were no words spoken, no grand speeches to mark their return. Instead, there was the shared silence of understanding, the knowledge that they had fulfilled their purpose, and now they were at peace. For Bellerophon, this moment was not the end of his story, but a transition, a gentle movement from the mortal world to the divine. He would be remembered, not for the battles he had fought, but for the quiet grace with which he had carried out the god's will. His name would echo through the ages, but not in the form of a legend of power or violence. Instead, his story would be one of serenity, a fulfilling destiny with quiet strength. For Pegasus, this moment marked the fulfillment of his own journey. The winged horse, once born from the blood of Medusa, had risen above the turmoil of his creation. He had flown through the skies, bringing peace and grace wherever he went. Now, Pegasus was granted his place in the heavens, a symbol of freedom and divine favor. His wings would continue to soar, not as a mortal creature, but as a celestial being, forever etched in the stars. And so, as Bellerophon and Pegasus stood together before the gods, their journey was not over. It was only just beginning, in a different way, a way that transcended the mortal world and entered the realm of the divine. Their return was not a moment of fanfare, but a quiet acknowledgement of the strength and grace that had guided them from the earth to the heavens. As the gods looked upon them with favor, the winds whispered through the heavens. The stars twinkled with approval. And in that quiet, eternal moment, Bellerophon and Pegasus found their place in the grand tapestry of the universe. No longer heroes of mortal conflicts, but eternal symbols of the divine, forever remembered in the calm, peaceful expanse of the skies. Having fulfilled their earthly task, Bellerophon and Pegasus were now granted a place among the gods, a peaceful home in the vast, starry expanse of the heavens. But while Bellerophon's journey through the mortal world had concluded, the story of Pegasus was far from over. For the winged horse, the journey into the divine realm marked the beginning of a new, eternal chapter. He was not simply a creature of flight, but a celestial being whose existence would become a symbol of peace, freedom, and divine favor. The gods, ever watchful, recognized the significance of Pegasus's birth, his connection to both the mortal and divine realms. He was not just an instrument of battle or a tool for heroes. He embodied something greater, something timeless. The winged horse was a creature of grace and strength, but he also represented the ability to transcend the boundaries of the earth and soar towards the infinite. And it was this quality that the gods saw in him when they decided to honor him with a place in the heavens. In the divine realm, where time was but a distant concept and eternity stretched out endlessly, Pegasus was welcomed not as a mere servant of the gods, but as an equal. His wings, once symbols of earthly freedom, now became symbols of divine favor. The gods did not reward him with riches or titles. Instead, they elevated him to a position where his existence could inspire all who looked upon him. Pegasus would no longer be bound to the earth. He would soar in the skies forever, a reminder of the quiet beauty that could exist in the balance between the mortal and divine worlds. As the gods placed him among the stars, Pegasus was transformed into a constellation, a brilliant pattern of light that could be seen by all who gazed upward into the night sky. There, in the infinite expanse of the heavens, his wings spread wide across the firmament, carrying with them the essence of his journey. He became not just a creature of myth, but a symbol, one that would endure for all time. In the night sky, the constellation of Pegasus became a guiding light for sailors and travelers, a beacon of hope and direction in the vast, dark unknown. To those who looked up at the stars, his image was a reminder of the quiet strength that lies within each of us, the ability to rise above the challenges of the earth and soar towards something greater. Pegasus's presence in the heavens was not just a gift to the gods, but to all who could see and understand the deeper meanings of his flight. For the gods themselves, the placement of Pegasus in the heavens was a moment of quiet satisfaction. They had witnessed the heroism of Bellerophon and the divine grace of Pegasus. Together, they had completed a task that would have seemed impossible to mortals. But in doing so, they had demonstrated something far more profound: the power of unity, of trust between the mortal and the divine. And Pegasus, the winged horse who had been born of the earth, had earned his place among them. He would forever serve as a reminder of the harmony that exists between the realms, the seamless connection between the gods, mortals, and the forces that govern the universe. The gods placed Pegasus among the stars, where his wings would continue to spread forever across the night sky. In his celestial form, he became a symbol of freedom, free from the limits of time, space, and mortal understanding. He would never again be bound by the earth, but he would continue to carry the essence of the mortal world with him, a reminder of the quiet beauty that had brought him into being. His flight, now eternal, would carry him across the heavens, beyond the reach of the mortal world, and into the very fabric of the cosmos itself. In this peaceful, eternal existence, Pegasus was not just a creature, but a divine presence, one whose wings would forever inspire and guide those who looked to the stars for answers. The gods, in their wisdom, had granted him this immortality, not as a reward for conquest, but as a recognition of the quiet, graceful power that he embodied. He was a creature of peace, of beauty, and of divine favor, and now his place in the heavens was secured for all eternity. And so, as Pegasus spread his wings across the vast expanse of the sky, his legacy continued. He became not just a part of the night sky, but a part of the world's eternal story, one that would continue to inspire generations of mortals and gods alike. He was a creature who transcended his origins, rising from the blood of Medusa to become a symbol of freedom and grace. And in the heavens, he would continue to soar, forever untouched by the passage of time, a living symbol of the divine harmony that governs the universe. As the eternal wings of Pegasus spread across the heavens, his legacy began to unfold, not only in the stars, but in the hearts and minds of mortals and gods alike. His story, one of serene grace, quiet heroism, and divine favor, would be remembered for generations to come. But his legacy was not defined by the battles he fought or the triumphs he achieved. It was the beauty of his existence, the purity of his flight, and the symbolism of his freedom that made him an enduring figure in Greek mythology and beyond. Pegasus was more than just a creature of myth. He was a symbol of the divine harmony that exists between the mortal and the immortal, between the earthly and the celestial. Born from the blood of Medusa, he emerged not as a creature of destruction, but as one of transformation. His very existence reflected the eternal balance of creation and destruction, of life and death. And it was this duality, this ability to rise above his origins, that would make Pegasus a timeless figure. As the ages passed, the image of Pegasus would continue to inspire. The winged horse, once a symbol of freedom and grace in the skies, would become a muse for poets, artists, and philosophers. His image would appear on ancient pottery and sculpture, etched into the fabric of Greek culture as a reminder of the divine forces that shaped the world. His wings, stretched wide across the night sky, would inspire those who looked up to the heavens to seek their own freedom, to rise above the limitations of the mortal world and reach for something greater. The legacy of Pegasus would extend beyond the borders of Greece. In the centuries to come, the image of the winged horse would be adopted by cultures across the world, each interpreting his symbolism in their own way. For some, he would be a symbol of divine inspiration, a creature that carried the muses to their work, sparking creativity and artistic expression. For others, he would be a symbol of strength and grace, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, there is always the possibility of soaring above it. In time, the constellation of Pegasus would become one of the most recognizable in the night sky. His wings spread wide in the heavens, a celestial image of peace and beauty. And as the world continued to turn, people would look up at the stars and remember the story of the winged horse, a story that transcended the boundaries of myth and became a part of the very fabric of human imagination. But it was not just the image of Pegasus that would endure. It was the deeper meaning behind his existence. He was a creature born of divine intervention, a creature whose flight represented the endless possibilities of the spirit. His wings, which had carried him from the earth to the heavens, symbolized the freedom that lies within all of us, the freedom to rise above our circumstances, to transcend our limitations, and to reach for the stars. In many ways, the legacy of Pegasus is the legacy of the human spirit itself. His flight, graceful and unburdened by the weight of the world, mirrors our own desires for liberation, for the chance to escape the confines of the earth and soar into the unknown. He is a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is always the potential for transcendence, for the lifting of our spirits to greater heights. The legacy of Pegasus is also one of peace, a reminder that true strength lies not in the force of battle, but in the quiet grace of existence. In his flight, Pegasus never sought dominance or control. He simply soared, free from the constraints of the earth, carrying with him the peace and beauty of the heavens. His legacy is one of serenity, a quiet reminder that the most profound truths are often the simplest ones. As the years turned into centuries, the story of Pegasus would continue to be told, passed down through the generations. In the quiet moments of the night, when the stars twinkled above, people would look up and remember the winged horse who had once soared through the heavens. And in those moments, the legacy of Pegasus would live on, not as a distant myth, but as a living symbol of freedom, grace, and divine inspiration. In the end, the legacy of Pegasus is not bound by time or space. It is eternal, a story that transcends the boundaries of myth and becomes a part of the universal human experience. His flight across the heavens is not just a story of the gods, it is a story of all of us. The desire to rise above our challenges, to soar into the unknown, and to find the freedom that lies within. And so, as the stars twinkle in the night sky, we remember the story of Pegasus, a story that will continue to inspire and uplift long after the last whispers of the ancient gods have faded into the eternal night. As the divine wings of Pegasus continued to spread across the heavens, his role within the realms of the gods grew more profound. No longer just a creature of the skies, he became a symbol of inspiration, one that bridged the divine and the mortal in ways that touched the hearts of poets, artists, and creators throughout the ages. It was within this role that Pegasus found his place beside the Muses, the 9 goddesses who personified the arts and the sciences. Together, They embodied the eternal connection between the divine and the creative spirit, each a vital part of a cosmic harmony that transcended mortal understanding. The Muses, daughters of Zeus and Mnemosyne, were gifted with the ability to inspire human creativity. Their realm was that of song, poetry, dance, music, and all other forms of artistic expression. While they could stir the hearts of mortal artists, it was Pegasus who would become their faithful steed, carrying them across the skies to realms where inspiration flowed like a river of light. The winged horse, his wings beating in time with the rhythm of the heavens, would become an essential figure in their artistic journeys. Pegasus's connection to the Muses was born from the deep wisdom and understanding that he carried with him from his own divine origins. Having been born of Medusa's blood, he had witnessed the strange beauty of creation and destruction in the same breath. His existence, a blending of both light and darkness, made him uniquely suited to serve as the vehicle for divine inspiration. As the Muses rode upon his back, they would find new heights of creativity, their minds touched by the pure beauty of the heavens that Pegasus embodied. Together, they would soar across the vast expanse of the cosmos, with the Muses drawing upon the divine energies of the stars, the winds, and the very essence of the universe to fuel their work. As they travelled from one realm to the next, their creations, be they songs, poems, or stories, would be imbued with the magic of Pegasus's flight. He was not merely their steed, he was a part of the creative process itself, a living force that carried the Muses to new realms of possibility. This connection was not just one of convenience, it was a profound union of purpose. The Muses, in their role as the divine source of artistic inspiration, could only reach their full potential with the aid of Pegasus. His flight was not just a means of transportation, but a manifestation of the divine energy that flowed through them, enabling their creations to transcend the boundaries of mere mortals. It was as if Pegasus's wings themselves were the vessels that carried the creative spark of the gods, igniting the imaginations of those who would create music, art, and literature for generations to come. In this role, Pegasus became more than just a symbol of freedom. He was a beacon of creative expression. His flight carried the Muses across vast stretches of the heavens, from one divine realm to another, touching the hearts of mortals and inspiring their greatest works. It is said that many of the greatest poets, musicians, and philosophers of the ancient world were touched by the inspiration that flowed from Pegasus's wings. Whether through the whispered words of Homer or the melodies of Orpheus, the divine essence of Pegasus lingered in the art that shaped human history. Even the stars themselves seemed to reflect the creativity of the Muses as they travelled upon the back of Pegasus. The constellation of Pegasus, spread across the heavens, became a cosmic map of inspiration, guiding those who sought creativity and wisdom. The constellation was a symbol of the divine connection between the earth and the heavens, between the mortal and the immortal. And it was through this connection that the arts flourished, with Pegasus as their eternal patron. The legacy of Pegasus's connection to the Muses was not confined to the ancient world. His influence would extend beyond Greek mythology, carrying with it the essence of divine inspiration for generations to come. Across cultures and time periods, Pegasus would continue to serve as a symbol of the creative spirit, inspiring countless artists to reach for the stars in their own work. Today, the image of Pegasus remains a powerful reminder of the boundless nature of human creativity. Whether in the soaring wings of an artist's brush or the timeless words of a poet, the influence of Pegasus continues to shape the world of art. His role as the steed of the Muses reminds us that creativity is not just a human endeavor. It is a divine gift, one that connects us to the very forces that govern the universe. Through his connection to the Muses, Pegasus taught humanity that true artistic expression is not just about the creation of beautiful things. It is about tapping into a greater, universal source of inspiration. Just as he carried the Muses across the skies, he carried within them the potential for creation, an energy that flows from the heavens and finds its home in the hearts of those who are willing to listen. As the winged horse continues to soar across the cosmos, so too does the legacy of the Muses, their creativity bound forever to the wings of Pegasus. The two, divine, eternal, and free, will continue to inspire the hearts and minds of those who seek beauty in the world around them. And through them, the spirit of creation will endure, as everlasting and boundless as the wings of Pegasus himself. As Pegasus soared gracefully across the heavens, his wings a symbol of freedom and divine inspiration, his presence transcended the realms of gods and mortals alike. His flight became more than just a story of a winged horse. Pegasus grew to embody profound symbolic meanings that echoed through time, offering insights into the nature of the human spirit, the cosmos, and the divine. In ancient Greece, Pegasus was not only revered as a majestic creature of myth, but also as a representation of powerful ideas and ideals that resonated deeply with both artists and philosophers alike. At its core, Pegasus symbolizes freedom, freedom from earthly constraints, freedom from the limitations imposed upon both gods and men. His wings, stretching endlessly into the skies, carried with them the notion of liberation, a reminder that even in the midst of struggle or hardship, there is always the possibility to rise above, to transcend the trials of the earthly realm, and to soar towards something greater. In a world often defined by rigid rules, hierarchical structures, and the everyday concerns of human life, Pegasus offered a sense of escape, of flight into the infinite. His wings, majestic and powerful, became a metaphor for the limitless potential that exists within each individual. His ability to rise above the earth was a reminder that all beings, whether mortal or divine, have the potential to reach beyond their circumstances, to chase their dreams, and to explore the unknown. The symbolism of Pegasus also encompasses the relationship between the mortal and the divine. Born from the blood of Medusa and blessed with the gift of flight by the gods, Pegasus is a being of dual existence. He is both part of the earth and the heavens, a creature whose origins lie in the mortal world, yet whose destiny is intertwined with the divine. His very existence, born of both chaos and grace, illustrates the balance between creation and destruction, life and death, the earthly and the celestial. For the ancient Greeks, Pegasus represented the harmony between these opposing forces. His ascent into the heavens, following his birth from Medusa's blood, symbolized the divine transformation of something that once carried the weight of destruction into something beautiful and free. Just as he had risen from the earth and transcended the tragedy of his origins, so too can the human spirit rise above adversity and find its place among the stars. Pegasus embodies the possibility of transformation, the potential for growth, and the ability to turn pain into beauty. This symbolism is also echoed in the arts, where Pegasus has come to represent artistic inspiration itself. His connection to the Muses, the divine beings who personified poetry, music, and the arts, made him the ultimate muse, the living embodiment of creativity, imagination, and the power of artistic expression. In many ways, Pegasus became the source of inspiration for artists, poets, and philosophers, carrying with him the creative spark of the divine. His flight across the skies was not merely a physical act, but an expression of the boundless nature of the human imagination, of the potential for creation that resides in every individual. Pegasus's symbolism extends beyond the arts, however. He also represents the pursuit of knowledge and wisdom. As he flew across the heavens, Pegasus touched the stars and the very fabric of the cosmos. His flight served as a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities for discovery and understanding that exist beyond the visible world. In this way, Pegasus became a symbol of the intellectual quest, the desire to explore the unknown and uncover the mysteries of the universe. In addition to his symbolism of freedom and inspiration, Pegasus also represents the unity of opposites. His birth from the blood of Medusa, a creature associated with terror and death, highlights the concept that creation often arises from destruction. In this sense, Pegasus's wings, which allowed him to transcend the earth and soar into the heavens, are symbolic of the potential for growth that comes from facing the darkness, confronting one's fears, and overcoming obstacles. Just as Pegasus rose from the chaos of Medusa's blood, so too can individuals rise from the turmoil of life's challenges to find their true purpose and freedom. Pegasus's celestial form, his place among the stars, further reinforces this idea. His transformation into a constellation is a symbol of his immortality, of his enduring influence on the world of both gods and mortals. The stars themselves, with their ever-present light in the night sky, represent the eternal nature of the forces that Pegasus embodies: freedom, inspiration, and the limitless potential of the human spirit. In the modern world, the image of Pegasus continues to inspire. From art and literature to popular culture and science, the winged horse remains a powerful symbol of hope, creativity, and transcendence. His enduring legacy speaks to the universal human desire to break free from the constraints of the earthly realm and to seek something greater, whether it is the pursuit of artistic expression, intellectual discovery, or personal growth. In many ways, the symbolism of Pegasus transcends time and culture, offering a timeless message about the nature of existence. He is a reminder that, despite the challenges and struggles we face, there is always the potential to rise above them, to soar toward something higher, and to find beauty and inspiration in the process. Pegasus is not just a figure of myth. He is a living symbol of the human spirit's boundless capacity for freedom, creativity, and transformation. Once Pegasus had ascended to the heavens, his existence became far more than that of a mere creature. It became a divine journey, a continuous flight through the boundless expanses of the cosmos. His wings, once stretched wide above the earth, now reached across the infinite sky, brushing the very fabric of the universe. The quiet nature of his flight, a serene and graceful movement through the celestial realms, symbolized more than just the act of moving from one place to another. It embodied the concept of eternal movement, a journey that transcended time and space. The celestial journey of Pegasus is not defined by a destination. Unlike the long, perilous quests of mortal heroes, Pegasus's journey had no endpoint, no final goal. It was an eternal motion, an infinite flight through the skies, where the very act of flying itself became a form of existence. This journey mirrored the celestial mechanics of the universe, an endless cycle of motion that brought order to the cosmos. But unlike the rigid movement of stars and planets, Pegasus's flight was graceful, free, and full of life. As he soared through the heavens, the stars themselves seemed to shimmer in response to his presence. His wings, like a gentle breeze, moved with the rhythm of the universe, and the constellations above seemed to pause in reverence. His flight, unlike the cold precision of the heavenly bodies, was infused with divine energy. It was a reminder that the universe, though vast and mysterious, was also full of life, of grace, freedom, and eternal beauty. Though his journey through the cosmos was tranquil, there was an underlying sense of purpose in Pegasus's celestial flight. He was a symbol of the divine connection between the mortal and the immortal, and his endless motion carried with it the essence of both worlds. In many ways, Pegasus's flight represented the continuity of existence itself, an eternal rhythm that moved not only through the heavens, but also through the hearts and minds of all who witnessed it. In the infinite expanse of the sky, Pegasus became part of the celestial order, a living embodiment of the divine forces that govern the universe. The stars, which once seemed so distant, now took on new meaning. They were not just points of light scattered across the night sky. They were part of a greater tapestry, a cosmic pattern that Pegasus moved through with each beat of his wings. His flight, though unhurried, was a movement that connected all things, earth and sky, mortal and divine, life and death. In the quiet of the night, when the world below sleeps and the stars flicker in their endless dance, the presence of Pegasus is still felt. His celestial journey is a reminder that the universe is not simply a vast emptiness, but a space filled with divine potential. The wings of Pegasus continue to soar, tracing the paths of the constellations, his flight an eternal journey through time and space. And yet, the celestial journey of Pegasus is not one of solitary flight. He is accompanied by the quiet whispers of the wind, the shimmer of the stars, and the cosmic music of the heavens. As he moves through the sky, he is part of a greater symphony, a harmonious song that resonates with the very energy of the universe. His wings create ripples in the fabric of space, gentle waves that stir the stars and awaken the potential of the cosmos. The stars, too, seem to respond to Pegasus's flight, their light shining brighter in the moments when he passes by. It is as if his journey through the heavens brings a renewed sense of vitality to the universe. His presence is a reminder that, even in the vast, seemingly empty expanse of space, there is a quiet energy that connects all things. Pegasus, with his wings spread wide, embodies this energy, moving gracefully through the night sky, a living symbol of the eternal dance of the cosmos. Though Pegasus's flight is unending, it is not without purpose. His journey is a divine cycle, one that is woven into the very structure of the universe. The stars, the planets, the winds, they are all part of the same cosmic rhythm, and Pegasus's flight is a reminder of the eternal movement that sustains the order of the cosmos. Each beat of his wings is a pulse, a heartbeat that reverberates through the heavens, carrying with it the divine energy of the universe. For mortals, the sight of Pegasus in the night sky is a reminder of the divine forces that shape the world. It is a call to embrace the freedom and grace that lies within us all, to seek the divine connection between the mortal and the immortal. Just as Pegasus ascended to the heavens, so too can we rise above the limitations of our world and reach for something greater. His flight, though eternal and unbroken, is a symbol of the potential for transcendence that lies within us all. And so, as the winged horse continues his journey through the cosmos, his presence remains an enduring symbol of divine freedom, grace, and the infinite possibilities of the universe. The stars, the winds, and the very sky above us all seem to move in harmony with his flight, a quiet reminder of the eternal dance that binds all things together. Pegasus, with his wings spread wide, continues to soar through the heavens, an eternal figure whose journey will never end. There are moments in myth, fleeting and quiet, that resonate with the eternal. In the case of Pegasus, his journey into the heavens was marked not by a grand, dramatic event, but by a peaceful ascension, a quiet transition from the mortal world to the divine. The moment of his ascension was not one of struggle or conflict, but of graceful flight, of wings unfurling and lifting a creature born from the earth to the realms of the gods. Pegasus's ascension was a natural progression of his existence, one that had been shaped by divine intervention and mortal deeds. After the Chimera had been slain, after the bond between Bellerophon and Pegasus had been solidified, the time had come for Pegasus to return to the realm from which he had come, a place far above the mortal realm, where the gods watched over the cosmos with eternal eyes. But unlike many mythological tales, where the mortal hero ascends through valor or achievement, Pegasus's ascent was a peaceful one, an effortless rise into the unknown. In this moment of ascension, there was no loud cry of triumph, no celestial fanfare. There was only the serene flutter of wings, the steady rhythm of flight, and the quiet stillness of the universe as it embraced the winged horse. The stars, those eternal beacons in the night sky, seemed to shine brighter as Pegasus soared upward, his wings carrying him with such grace that the very air seemed to part in reverence. As his hooves lifted from the earth, the world below seemed to fade away, becoming little more than a distant memory. The earth, with its struggles and strife, was no longer his concern. Instead, the heavens above stretched out before him, vast and inviting, waiting for him to take his place among the gods. It is said that the gods themselves watched this ascension with quiet approval. There were no grand speeches, no ceremonial gestures, only the understanding that Pegasus was a creature of grace, born to transcend the limitations of the mortal world. The gods had seen the potential in him from the moment of his birth, from the instant he emerged from the blood of Medusa, and now they were witnessing his transformation into something eternal, something divine. His ascent was a natural culmination of his journey, a journey that began with a mortal quest and ended in the peace of the heavens. As Pegasus rose higher and higher, the world below him seemed to dissolve into a mist of memory. His wings beat steadily, gracefully, as he ascended beyond the clouds, beyond the reach of earthly limitations. The stars, once distant and cold, now seemed to draw closer, twinkling in welcome. It was as though the heavens themselves were stretching out their arms to receive him, to embrace the divine creature who had once walked among mortals and now was destined for immortality. In the quiet of this moment, Pegasus became more than just a winged horse. He became a symbol of the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. His flight, though peaceful and serene, was a reminder that even in the vast, indifferent expanse of the cosmos, there is room for grace, for beauty, for divine purpose. He was a creature born of chaos, Medusa's blood, yet he had transcended that origin, rising above the violence of his birth to become a symbol of freedom and inspiration. His ascension was not a denial of his past, but a recognition of his transformation, a transformation that had taken him from the darkness of his origins to the light of the heavens. As he ascended into the stars, the universe seemed to hold its breath, watching with quiet awe. And then, with a final, gentle beat of his wings, Pegasus found his place among the constellations. His flight had not been in haste, nor had it been one of force. It had been a steady, graceful ascent, one that mirrored the divine rhythm of the universe itself. His wings, now eternal, spread wide across the sky, and he took his place in the heavens as one of the most enduring symbols of beauty and freedom. Pegasus's place in the sky was not just a reward for his earthly deeds. It was a reflection of his essence, his grace, his divine nature, and his ability to transcend the boundaries of the earth. His ascent was a quiet moment of transformation, a reminder that in the vastness of the universe there is always the possibility for redemption, for change, and for eternal beauty. For the mortals who looked up at the stars, the image of Pegasus in the sky was a reminder that even in the darkest of times there is the potential for flight, both literal and metaphorical. The constellations, with their ancient patterns, held within them the story of Pegasus, a story of freedom, of transcendence, and of the quiet grace that exists in every moment of life. The winged horse, now part of the eternal sky, would forever inspire those who look to the heavens for guidance, for hope, and for a sense of peace. As the winged horse ascended to his celestial place in the heavens, his connection to the divine did not end. In fact, it was just beginning, for the gods had granted Pegasus a special role, one that would transcend the vastness of the cosmos and touch the hearts and minds of mortals through the power of poetry. The divine flight of Pegasus became a muse for poets and creators, his image a symbol of inspiration, freedom, and creativity that resonated across generations. The poets, those who lived to capture the beauty and struggle of the human experience in words, found in Pegasus a source of divine inspiration. His wings, once a symbol of strength and grace in the heavens, now carried with them the very essence of creativity itself. Just as Pegasus had soared across the sky, so too did the poets find their words soaring, lifting from the page like the divine wings of the winged horse. The image of Pegasus, galloping effortlessly across the heavens, became synonymous with the poetic muse, an eternal symbol of the flow of creativity that both nurtures and propels the world of art. In Greek mythology, the Muses were the divine embodiments of the arts. They were the daughters of Zeus and Mnemosyne, goddesses who inspired poets, musicians, and all creators of beauty. Pegasus, as the steed of the Muses, became intimately connected with them, carrying them across the skies to realms where their creativity could flow freely. While the Muses were the embodiment of artistic inspiration, Pegasus himself became the divine medium through which this inspiration could reach the mortal world. His flight was not merely a graceful act in the heavens. It was a conduit through which poetry and art could be born. It is said that the greatest poets of ancient Greece, from Homer to Hesiod, were touched by the inspiration that Pegasus brought forth. His image would become intertwined with the power of the written word, with the ability to craft verses that could evoke deep emotion, stir the soul, and capture the fleeting beauty of life itself. Just as Pegasus's wings could carry him across the heavens, so too could poetry carry the hearts of the listeners to a higher plane. In this sense, Pegasus was not simply a mythological figure. He was a living, breathing embodiment of the divine spark that ignites the artistic fire within all creators. In the world of ancient Greece, where storytelling and the preservation of history were of paramount importance, the power of poetry was undeniable. Through the written and spoken word, the greatest stories were told. The tales of gods and heroes, of victories and losses, of love and tragedy. Pegasus, as the divine muse of poetry, became the very essence of these stories. His role as a symbol of artistic inspiration meant that he had a hand in shaping the narrative of the gods, ensuring that their stories would live on for generations to come. Yet, even beyond the world of ancient Greece, the influence of Pegasus's connection to poetry continues to reverberate through time. His wings, spread wide across the heavens, serve as a reminder to artists and poets everywhere that creativity is an eternal gift, one that transcends the boundaries of time and space. In the act of creation, whether through writing, painting, or music, there exists a divine force, one that elevates the human spirit and connects the creator to something far greater than themselves. And Pegasus, as the divine steed of the Muses, continues to be that symbol of creative freedom and divine inspiration. In modern times, the image of Pegasus remains a powerful symbol in the world of poetry. Poets and writers still look to the winged horse as a source of inspiration, drawing upon the idea of transcending earthly boundaries to create something that reaches into the divine. The connection between Pegasus and poetry is timeless, a thread that links the creative spirit of ancient Greece to the vibrant artistic expressions of today. Through his symbolism, artists are reminded that their work, like Pegasus's flight, has the potential to soar into the heavens, to touch the divine, and, in doing so, inspire others to reach beyond their own limitations. The enduring legacy of Pegasus as the muse of poetry reminds us that art is not confined to the limits of time or space. Just as Pegasus's flight transcended the earthly realm and reached into the stars, so too does poetry reach beyond the mundane aspects of life, lifting the spirit and connecting the mortal world to the divine. The image of Pegasus, with his wings stretched wide across the heavens, serves as a reminder that there is always room for creativity and inspiration, no matter the era or the circumstances. In the wings of Pegasus, we find the freedom to create, to express, and to reach for something greater than ourselves. And so, as the stars twinkle in the night sky and the world turns beneath, the legacy of Pegasus continues. His connection to poetry, his embodiment of divine inspiration, remains an eternal beacon for poets, artists, and creators of all kinds. The winged horse who once soared through the skies now lives in the hearts of those who seek to create, to express, and to capture the beauty of the world in their art. Pegasus, in his eternal flight, remains the source of inspiration for all who dare to dream. Throughout the myth of Pegasus, divine intervention played a quiet yet crucial role in shaping the winged horse's existence. From his birth to his final ascension into the heavens, the gods were ever present, guiding and shaping the destiny of Pegasus, just as they guided the fates of mortals and immortals alike. Yet, in the story of Pegasus, divine intervention is not marked by dramatic battles or conflict, but by a quiet hand, leading him toward his ultimate purpose in the celestial realms. It was the gods who first brought Pegasus into existence, born from the blood of the Gorgon Medusa as she was slain by Perseus. This act of divine intervention was not an act of cruelty or vengeance, but of transformation, a reminder that from destruction, something beautiful can arise. From the blood of Medusa, a creature that symbolized chaos and death, came Pegasus, a symbol of freedom, grace, and divine favor. His birth was not the result of a violent act or an intentional creation. It was a natural consequence of the forces of the universe at work, orchestrated by the gods themselves. The gods had seen potential in Pegasus from the moment of his creation. Though he was born from the blood of a monster, he was destined for greatness. His wings, the very essence of divine flight, would carry him from the earth to the heavens. The gods understood that Pegasus's role was not merely to serve as a steed for heroes, but to transcend his origins and become a symbol of inspiration and beauty for all time. They granted him the gift of flight, not as a reward for victory, but as a mark of his divine nature, a nature that transcended the mortal world and reached toward the stars. The gods were also instrumental in shaping the bond between Pegasus and the mortal hero Bellerophon. When Bellerophon was tasked with slaying the Chimera, it was the gods who bestowed upon him the golden bridle, a divine gift that would allow him to tame the wild Pegasus. Without this divine intervention, Bellerophon would have been unable to control the powerful winged horse, and the quest to defeat the Chimera would have been doomed. The gods, in their wisdom, knew that the connection between Bellerophon and Pegasus was a necessary one for the success of the mission. Yet, even after Bellerophon and Pegasus had accomplished their divine mission, the gods remained involved in their fates. When Bellerophon's pride led him to attempt to ascend to Mount Olympus, to join the gods in their divine realm, it was the gods who intervened once more. Pegasus, who had been born of the earth and had transcended the mortal realm, was granted his place among the stars. The gods saw to it that he was lifted into the heavens, where he would become a constellation, a reminder of the harmony between the divine and the mortal worlds. This divine intervention was not an act of punishment or favor in the traditional sense. Instead, it was an acknowledgement of the cosmic order, the understanding that certain forces must align in order for the universe to function in harmony. Pegasus's ascension was not the culmination of a mortal hero's journey, but rather the fulfillment of his divine purpose. The gods understood that Pegasus's place was not in the realm of mortals, but in the skies, where he could continue to inspire and serve as a symbol of the divine forces that shape the cosmos. Through divine intervention, Pegasus's fate was forever tied to the heavens, and his legacy became a part of the eternal rhythm of the universe. His wings, once capable of carrying him across the earth, now carried him through the celestial realms, where he would remain forever. His flight, once tied to the mortal world, now transcended it, becoming a cosmic journey that would never cease. The gods, in their wisdom, understood that Pegasus was more than just a creature born of Medusa's blood. He was a divine being, one who could inspire the mortal world, one who could serve as a reminder of the infinite possibilities that exist beyond the limitations of the earthly realm. Their intervention in his journey ensured that he would have a lasting impact, not just on the mortals he helped, but on the very fabric of the universe. Even in his celestial form, Pegasus continued to embody the values and virtues that the gods held dear. His flight through the heavens was not one of arrogance or dominance, but of grace, beauty, and freedom. The gods saw in him the embodiment of their own divine nature, untouched by the constraints of mortality, yet connected to the world below. And as he soared across the night sky, his wings cutting through the air with effortless ease, the gods knew that his journey was one that would never end. Divine intervention in the myth of Pegasus was not about controlling the outcome of events or forcing the gods' will upon the mortal world. It was about allowing fate to unfold in its natural course, guiding those who were destined for greatness toward their ultimate purpose. For Pegasus, that purpose was clear: to soar in the heavens, to inspire those who looked up to him, and to serve as a reminder of the beauty and grace that exists within the universe. Through divine intervention, the gods ensured that his journey would be one of eternal significance. The influence of Pegasus reached far beyond the realm of myth and the stars, leaving an indelible mark on the artistic and cultural expressions of ancient Greece. His majestic form, with wings stretched wide in flight, became a symbol of divine beauty, strength, and inspiration, and his image appeared in countless forms of art. From pottery to sculpture, from frescoes to vases, the presence of Pegasus in ancient art was not merely decorative. It was a visual manifestation of the values and ideals that the ancient Greeks held dear. One of the most prominent places where Pegasus appeared in Greek art was on pottery. The Greeks, with their mastery of ceramics, often used vases and other pottery as canvases for depicting their myths. These works were not just functional items. They were also intricate pieces of storytelling, each one illustrating a moment from the rich tapestry of Greek mythology. Pegasus, with his unmistakable wings and graceful form, appeared on many of these vessels, often as a central figure, symbolizing the divine and heroic nature of the myth. In the scenes on pottery, Pegasus was often depicted as part of the grand narrative of Greek myth. He was seen in various forms, sometimes as a companion to the hero Perseus, or other times as a divine creature soaring through the skies, free from the limitations of earth. These images were more than just artistic expressions. They were a way of preserving and conveying the stories that defined Greek identity. By depicting Pegasus in art, the Greeks were not just telling stories, they were engaging with the deeper meanings behind the myths, exploring themes of heroism, divinity, freedom, and inspiration. Sculpture, too, became a medium through which the image of Pegasus was immortalized. The Greeks were renowned for their ability to capture the human form with incredible realism, and they applied this same skill to the depiction of divine creatures like Pegasus. Statues of the winged horse were created in marble and bronze, some of which were monumental in size, standing as tributes to his divine beauty and power. These sculptures were not mere representations of the myth. They were acts of devotion, reverence for the gods, and an expression of the admiration the Greeks felt for Pegasus as a symbol of inspiration. One of the most famous sculptures featuring Pegasus is the statue known as Pegasus and Bellerophon, which depicts the heroic bond between the two. The image of Bellerophon riding Pegasus became iconic, symbolizing the unity between mortal effort and divine grace. In these sculptures, Pegasus is often portrayed with great elegance and strength, his wings spread wide, his body in motion, and his form exuding a sense of freedom that resonated deeply with the ancient Greeks. These works of art, which adorned temples, public spaces, and private homes, served as constant reminders of the power of divine inspiration and the potential for transcendence. Frescoes and paintings, though less numerous than pottery and sculpture, also played a significant role in the visual culture of ancient Greece. In the few surviving frescoes, the figure of Pegasus appears as a celestial being, often surrounded by the symbols of the gods or other divine creatures. These depictions were often rich with symbolism, using color and form to convey the themes of freedom, beauty, and divine influence that Pegasus represented. The wings of the horse were often painted in bright ethereal tones, making them appear as though they were glowing with divine energy. The image of Pegasus was not confined to Greek art alone. As Greek influence spread across the Mediterranean, the winged horse began to appear in the art of other cultures. In Rome, for example, Pegasus became a symbol of poetic inspiration, and his image was frequently used in the decoration of literary and intellectual spaces. The Roman poets, who were deeply influenced by Greek mythology, saw Pegasus as a divine figure that could guide them in their own creative endeavors. His image appeared on marble statues, mosaics, and coins, symbolizing the enduring connection between the gods and human creativity. Throughout the ages, the image of Pegasus continued to inspire artists, and his legacy in art has endured into the modern era. His wings, his graceful form, and his eternal flight have become iconic symbols of freedom, creativity, and divine beauty. From Renaissance painters to modern illustrators, Pegasus has remained a muse for those seeking to capture the sublime, the transcendent, and the boundless potential of the human spirit. In addition to the visual representations of Pegasus in art, his image also became a symbol in architecture. Temples and public buildings were often adorned with images of Pegasus, reminding the people of their connection to the divine. These depictions were not just for aesthetic enjoyment. They were a way of invoking the protection and favor of the gods. By placing images of Pegasus in sacred spaces, the ancient Greeks sought to align themselves with the qualities that he embodied: freedom, inspiration, and divine guidance. The representation of Pegasus in art tells us much about how the ancient Greeks understood their world and their relationship to the divine. To them, art was not just an expression of beauty. It was a means of connecting with the gods, of invoking the power of the divine, and of celebrating the virtues that made life worth living. The image of Pegasus, soaring through the heavens with wings spread wide, captured the very essence of those virtues, and it is no wonder that his image continued to inspire generations of artists. Through the art of the ancient Greeks, the legacy of Pegasus lives on. His wings still stretch across the heavens. His image still resonates with those who seek inspiration, beauty, and freedom. He remains, as he always has, a symbol of the divine potential within all of us. A reminder that, like the winged horse, we too can rise above our limitations and soar towards something greater. As Pegasus ascended into the heavens, his role within the cosmos was far from over. His flight, once bound to the earth, became an eternal journey through the stars, an unbroken path of grace and freedom that would last for all time. The immortality of Pegasus was not merely an aspect of his divine nature, but a reflection of the eternal qualities he embodied: freedom, inspiration, and divine favor. His existence transcended the boundaries of time, making him a timeless symbol in both the mortal and immortal realms. Pegasus's immortality was signified by his transformation into a constellation. In the night sky, his wings stretched wide across the firmament, an eternal image of divine beauty. As a constellation, Pegasus became a celestial landmark, guiding those who looked upon him and offering a reminder that some forces, whether divine or natural, are unchangeable and everlasting. The stars that made up the constellation of Pegasus glittered with a timeless light, each twinkle a reflection of the divine energy that powered his eternal flight. The idea of immortality in Greek mythology is often tied to the gods, their ability to remain untouched by the passing of time. But Pegasus's immortality was different. He was not a god in the traditional sense, but a creature born from the blood of a mortal, Medusa, and the divine actions of Perseus and the gods. His immortality, therefore, was a symbol of transcendence, a reminder that even those with humble or tragic beginnings can rise above their origins to achieve greatness. As he soared through the heavens, Pegasus's immortality was not just a passive state, but an active presence in the world. His flight across the sky was not just a movement through the stars, but a constant reminder of the divine forces that shape the universe. Pegasus was not confined to the night sky. His image and influence permeated every corner of Greek life. The image of his wings, spread wide and graceful, was a symbol of freedom, beauty, and divine favor that inspired artists, poets, and philosophers alike. His immortality also symbolized the enduring power of the divine to shape the world in ways that transcend human understanding. Though he was born from the blood of Medusa, a creature of fear and death, Pegasus rose above that origin to become something greater. His flight, both literal and metaphorical, was a journey that carried him beyond the limitations of mortality. In the same way, his immortality reminded the Greeks that the divine operates on a level beyond human comprehension, that there are forces at work in the universe that are eternal and immutable. The immortality of Pegasus is also tied to the concept of legacy. While he may have left the mortal world behind, his legacy was not confined to the time in which he lived. His story, passed down through generations, became a part of the fabric of Greek culture and mythology. Through art, literature, and the stories told by the ancients, the legacy of Pegasus continued to inspire and shape the imaginations of future generations. His story became a part of the eternal narrative of the gods, a narrative that is still felt today in the stories we tell, the art we create, and the ideals we strive for. In the heavens, Pegasus's immortality was a symbol of eternal freedom. His wings, stretched wide and unfurled in the night sky, were a beacon for those seeking to transcend the mundane limitations of their existence. In the same way that the gods were immortal and beyond the reach of time, Pegasus was an eternal reminder of the potential for greatness within every soul. A reminder that no matter where we come from or what we face, there is always the possibility to rise above and soar toward something greater. The stars that form the constellation of Pegasus are still visible in the night sky today, a lasting testament to his immortality. For centuries, stargazers have looked upon his constellation, finding in his image a sense of wonder, guidance, and inspiration. Even in the modern world, Pegasus's immortality lives on, not just in the stars, but in the hearts and minds of those who continue to seek the divine in their own lives. As an immortal figure, Pegasus also serves as a reminder of the cyclical nature of existence. His wings beat endlessly, symbolizing the ongoing flow of time, the unbroken connection between the past, present, and future. In the same way that the stars are constant and ever-present in the sky, the legacy of Pegasus continues to influence the world in quiet, subtle ways. His immortality is a living presence, one that exists beyond time and place, guiding us toward the higher ideals of freedom, grace, and divine inspiration. Though Pegasus's story began with a tragic birth, his immortality marked the fulfillment of his true purpose. He was not just a winged horse, but a symbol of transformation, of rising above the challenges of life and achieving something greater. His immortality serves as a reminder that even the most unlikely of beings can reach the stars, that no matter how difficult the journey, there is always the possibility for transcendence. As Pegasus soared through the heavens, his form and flight became more than just a celestial phenomenon. His ascent from the earth to the sky marked his transformation into a symbol, a timeless reminder of the boundless nature of the human spirit, divine intervention, and the eternal quest for freedom. It was from this divine journey that the constellation of Pegasus emerged, a permanent fixture in the night sky, enduring for centuries and continuing to guide those who looked up in search of meaning, hope, and inspiration. The constellation of Pegasus is one of the most easily recognizable in the night sky. Its distinctive shape, resembling a large rectangular body with wings outstretched, captures the imagination of those who gaze upon it. It is a symbol not just of the winged horse, but of the idea of freedom, exploration, and the eternal pursuit of higher ideals. While many constellations are steeped in myth, the constellation of Pegasus carries with it a particular resonance, one that speaks to the human experience of striving beyond limits and seeking something greater than ourselves. In Greek mythology, the creation of constellations was often a divine act, a way for the gods to honor their most faithful servants, heroes, and creatures. The constellation of Pegasus, which arose from the immortal flight of the winged horse, served as a mark of divine favor, a symbol of the heroism of the gods, and the profound connection between the mortal and immortal realms. For the ancient Greeks, the stars were not just distant lights in the sky. They were part of a living, breathing story that connected the gods, the heroes, and the world below. The constellation of Pegasus, located in the northern sky, was seen by the ancient Greeks as a symbol of inspiration. When they looked up at the stars, they did not simply see points of light. They saw stories, they saw gods and heroes, and they saw the celestial patterns that linked their world to something greater. The winged horse, forever caught in flight, became a reminder that the pursuit of beauty, freedom, and knowledge is an eternal journey. In this sense, the constellations served as both a celestial guide and a moral compass, an enduring reminder that, like Pegasus, one could transcend earthly limitations and rise towards something higher. Pegasus's role as a constellation also reinforced the ancient Greek understanding of the cosmos. The night sky was more than just a backdrop for human existence. it was a reflection of the divine order. The gods who resided in the heavens were not separate from the mortal world, but instead were woven into its very fabric. The constellation of Pegasus, as a divine image that existed in the stars, bridged the gap between the gods and mortals. It was a symbol of divine guidance, one that could inspire and direct those who sought wisdom, freedom, and inspiration. The stars of the Pegasus constellation were not just representations of the winged horse, but also acted as a guide for those who ventured across the seas or journeyed far from home. For sailors, the stars of Pegasus were a navigational tool, helping them find their way through dark nights and treacherous waters. The image of the flying horse, rising above the horizon, became synonymous with hope and direction. In a world where maps were few and distant lands were unknown, the constellation of Pegasus became a steady light in the dark, a guiding force for those seeking the distant shore. The meaning of the constellation also transcends the ancient world and resonates into the modern era. For contemporary stargazers, the constellation of Pegasus remains a symbol of inspiration and possibility. The stars in the night sky, though scientifically explained as distant gas giants and stellar remnants, continue to evoke wonder and curiosity. In the constellation of Pegasus, we still see the possibility of flight, of transcendence, and of the pursuit of something greater than ourselves. The story of Pegasus, as represented by the stars, encourages us to dream, to strive, and to reach beyond the confines of the known world. The symbolism of Pegasus as a constellation also connects to the idea of immortality. Just as the stars are timeless, so too is the legacy of Pegasus. His flight across the heavens, immortalized in the night sky, serves as a reminder that even in the face of mortality, there is the potential for eternal existence. The constellation does not age or fade. It remains constant, a beacon of light for generations to come. In this way, the stars of Pegasus represent the continuity of the human spirit, the ability to create, to imagine, and to transcend time. For the ancient Greeks, the stars were not static objects. They were imbued with meaning, with stories, with divine purpose. The stars were a living part of the mythological landscape, and the constellation of Pegasus was no exception. To look upon it was to look into the eyes of the gods themselves, to witness the eternal struggle between the mortal and the divine, and to see the potential for greatness that lay within the human spirit. Today, as we gaze upon the stars, the constellation of Pegasus continues to inspire us. It reminds us that the journey of life is not one of mere existence, but of transcendence, of reaching towards something greater, of soaring above the limits of the earthly world. In the wings of Pegasus, we see the potential for freedom, for creativity, and for divine connection. The stars, though distant, remain ever present, a constant reminder that, like the winged horse, we too can rise above and find our place among the heavens. The enduring legacy of Pegasus transcends the ancient world and stretches across the fabric of modern mythology. From the celestial skies of ancient Greece to the pages of contemporary literature, the winged horse continues to inspire and captivate the imagination of those who encounter his story. As an immortal symbol of freedom, inspiration, and transcendence, Pegasus has found his place not only in the myths of the past, but also in the modern cultural consciousness, where his image continues to evoke awe and wonder. In modern mythology, Pegasus has evolved from a figure of divine grace and heroic adventure to a broader symbol of the human pursuit of the extraordinary. His wings, once representative of divine flight, now embody the limitless potential of the human spirit, the desire to transcend the ordinary and to reach for something greater. Pegasus has become a figure that represents the dreams, hopes, and aspirations of those who dare to dream beyond the constraints of their mortal existence. The influence of Pegasus is evident in the world of literature and popular culture, where his image is often used as a symbol of inspiration, creativity, and the boundless possibilities of the imagination. From epic fantasy novels to children's books, Pegasus continues to appear as a majestic and powerful figure, one that embodies the ideals of beauty, grace, and freedom. In these modern retellings of the myth, Pegasus is often depicted as a loyal companion to the hero, guiding them on their journey towards self-discovery and personal growth. In some stories, Pegasus serves as a metaphor for the creative process itself. Just as the winged horse carries the muses across the heavens, he carries the thoughts and ideas of writers, artists, and musicians. Pegasus, in this modern sense, represents the divine spark of creativity that drives individuals to express themselves through their chosen art form. The flight of Pegasus is the flight of inspiration, unpredictable, untamed, and free. In this way, Pegasus continues to inspire those who seek to create, to push the boundaries of what is possible, and to reach for the stars. In addition to literature, Pegasus has made his way into modern film and television. His image has appeared in various forms, from animated children's movies to live-action fantasy films. In these portrayals, Pegasus is often depicted as a powerful and majestic creature, a symbol of both strength and grace. The winged horse is frequently shown helping heroes in their quests, reminding viewers of the importance of perseverance, freedom, and the desire to rise above adversity. Whether it is in the form of a magical steed or a divine companion, Pegasus continues to serve as a reminder that the pursuit of greatness is possible, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. Moreover, the influence of Pegasus extends beyond storytelling. His image has been adopted in modern symbolism and branding, where the winged horse is often used to represent companies, organizations, and initiatives that value creativity, innovation, and the pursuit of excellence. His iconic wings, once associated with the gods, have become a symbol of progress and inspiration in the modern world. The Pegasus symbol is used by companies in industries ranging from aviation to technology, where it signifies the desire to soar above the ordinary and to reach new heights. The enduring presence of Pegasus in modern mythology speaks to the timeless nature of his story. His symbolism of freedom, transcendence, and divine inspiration continues to resonate with people from all walks of life. The modern world, with its complex challenges and rapid pace, can often feel limiting, but Pegasus offers a vision of a life that is unbounded, one in which creativity, passion, and the desire to reach for something greater are not only possible, but essential. Through his wings, the image of Pegasus continues to inspire individuals to break free from the constraints of the world around them and to embrace the limitless possibilities of their own potential. Pegasus also represents the idea of eternal growth. Even though the winged horse has been immortalized in the heavens, his story is far from static. It continues to evolve, adapting to new contexts and new understandings of what it means to rise above the limitations of the earth. The symbolism of Pegasus is not fixed in the past. It is a living, breathing entity that changes with the times, just as the creative spirit that he represents changes with each new generation of artists, thinkers, and dreamers. In this way, Pegasus remains a timeless figure. His legacy is not just tied to the ancient myths or the stars above, but to the ongoing journey of human aspiration. Whether soaring through the skies of ancient Greece or gracing the pages of modern books and films, Pegasus continues to inspire those who seek to rise above, to find their freedom, and to embrace the beauty of divine creativity. His flight is eternal, and as long as there are those who look to the stars for inspiration, Pegasus will continue to soar. As the centuries passed and the ancient world gave way to the modern era, the myth of Pegasus never truly faded. His wings, once spread across the heavens as a divine symbol of freedom and grace, found new life in the hearts and minds of people across cultures and generations. From ancient Greece to modern times, Pegasus has experienced a rebirth, adapting to the changing tides of storytelling, art, and popular culture. His presence in today's world is just as powerful as it was in the ancient past. Yet, his meaning has grown, becoming a symbol not only of divine beauty and inspiration, but also of the enduring human pursuit of greatness, creativity, and transformation. Pegasus's rebirth in modern times is not merely a return to the past, it is a reinvention, one that speaks to the timelessness of his symbolism. While the winged horse still embodies freedom and divine grace, he has also come to represent the idea of transformation, the power to overcome obstacles and to rise above even the most difficult circumstances. In a world that often feels confined by limits, the image of Pegasus soaring through the skies is a reminder that, through resilience and imagination, there is always the potential to break free. In popular culture, Pegasus has become a versatile figure, appearing in a variety of media, including literature, film, television, and even video games. His image, once reserved for the ancient myths, now transcends genres and artistic expressions. He is no longer just a mythological figure, but a symbol that inspires not only creators, but also the dreamers and adventurers who seek to reach new heights. One of the most significant places where Pegasus has been reborn is in the world of literature. From classic fantasy novels to contemporary fiction, the winged horse has been reimagined and reinterpreted in countless ways. His role as a companion to heroes and creators has made him a favorite figure in fantasy literature, where his divine qualities resonate with the themes of freedom and self-discovery that define many heroic journeys. In modern retellings of his myth, Pegasus often serves as more than just a divine steed. He is a symbol of the inner strength and untapped potential that lies within every individual. In these stories, the characters who bond with Pegasus are often those who must overcome personal struggles or face overwhelming odds. Through their connection to the winged horse, they are able to transcend their limitations and soar towards their destiny. Pegasus, in this sense, becomes a metaphor for the power of self-realization and the courage to pursue one's dreams. Beyond the pages of books, Pegasus has also soared onto the silver screen. In various films, animated features, and television shows, his image has been brought to life in new and imaginative ways. From Disney's Hercules, where Pegasus serves as the loyal companion to the titular hero, to modern action films that draw on Greek mythology, Pegasus has remained a popular figure in cinema. His role in these films often varies, but he consistently represents the idea of boundless potential, the ability to rise above the mundane and achieve greatness. In the realm of animation, Pegasus has found particular favor, often depicted in stunning visual styles that capture the ethereal beauty of his flight. His wings, radiant and powerful, are a central part of his character, allowing animators to create sweeping, dramatic sequences that emphasize his grace and divine nature. Pegasus's appearances in animated films often highlight the contrast between the earthly realm and the celestial, as his flight lifts characters and viewers into the realms of fantasy and imagination. In video games, where the quest for freedom and transcendence is a central theme, Pegasus has become a beloved figure. In many games, the winged horse is depicted as a powerful and majestic creature that players can summon, ride, or interact with. His role in these games often symbolizes the unlocking of new possibilities or the journey toward the unknown. Pegasus in these games represents not only the freedom to explore fantastical worlds, but also the power of creativity and imagination to overcome challenges. His presence in the virtual world reflects the same themes of inspiration and liberation that have defined his myth for centuries. Pegasus's presence in modern culture is not confined to fiction alone. The winged horse has also become a popular symbol in art, advertising, and branding. His image is often used to represent companies and organizations that value creativity, ambition, and the pursuit of excellence. From the iconic logo of the Mobil Oil Company to the artwork of contemporary designers, Pegasus's wings have come to symbolize progress, innovation, and the desire to soar beyond the ordinary. This modern rebirth of Pegasus also reflects a broader cultural shift toward the appreciation of myth and storytelling. As our world becomes increasingly complex and fast-paced, the need for symbols and stories that transcend the ordinary and speak to our deeper desires for meaning and purpose has only grown. Pegasus, as a figure who embodies both the divine and the mortal, the creative and the free, speaks to this universal longing for transcendence and transformation. In this modern age, where technology, media, and art shape our worldview, the myth of Pegasus has once again found a place at the heart of human expression. His story continues to inspire individuals to break free from the constraints of the everyday world, to reach for something greater, and to embrace the possibility of flight, both literally and metaphorically. Pegasus, in his timeless beauty, reminds us that we too can rise above our challenges, find inspiration in the world around us, and soar toward our dreams. As modern storytelling evolves, the myth of Pegasus continues to find new relevance and reinterpretation. From books to films, from comic books to video games, the winged horse has transcended his ancient origins to become a universal symbol of transcendence, freedom, and the pursuit of greatness. His story, which began with divine intervention and a hero's quest, has taken on new layers of meaning in the context of contemporary narratives, where he is no longer just a figure of myth, but a potent metaphor for the human desire to rise above limitations and to achieve the extraordinary. The rebirth of Pegasus in modern storytelling is marked by a shift from his role as a divine steed to that of a more complex, multifaceted character. While he is still often depicted as a majestic creature with wings, his meaning has deepened in ways that reflect the struggles, dreams, and ambitions of contemporary society. Pegasus, in modern retellings, is not merely a symbol of divine grace, but a representation of the untapped potential that exists within us all. The power to break free from constraints, to take flight into the unknown, and to rise above the obstacles that block our paths. In many contemporary interpretations, Pegasus becomes a creature of freedom, a being that represents the idea of liberation from the mundane, the chance to explore new realms, and the hope of achieving something greater than what is immediately visible. His wings are no longer just tools for flight, but instruments of change, offering heroes and dreamers the opportunity to rise above their circumstances and reach for the stars. This evolution of his symbolism reflects the universal human aspiration to transcend boundaries, whether they are physical, mental, or societal, and to pursue a life of possibility and fulfillment. In modern literature, Pegasus is often seen as a guide for characters who seek to understand their own inner strength or unlock the potential for greatness. Much like the divine steed of ancient myths, modern-day Pegasus serves as a mentor or companion, helping protagonists discover their purpose, navigate trials, and ultimately achieve their goals. His presence in these stories speaks to the idea that sometimes we need the guidance of something greater than ourselves to realize our own potential. Whether in fantastical settings or allegorical tales, Pegasus helps the hero achieve transformation, physically, mentally, or emotionally. In addition to his role in literature, the rebirth of Pegasus is particularly evident in modern film and television. His presence in popular media continues to evolve, often serving as a metaphor for the journey from ordinary to extraordinary. In many films, he is reimagined not simply as a majestic being of flight, but as a character who can embody themes of hope, redemption, and the pursuit of self-actualization. In movies, animated series, or even in mythological reboots, Pegasus often represents the idea of rising above adversity, of breaking free from limitations imposed by the world or by fate itself. The most popular example of Pegasus's modern rebirth in cinema is perhaps his role in Disney's Hercules, 1997, where he serves as the loyal steed to the young hero, helping him complete his journey toward godhood. This modern take on the myth does not merely celebrate the fantastical aspects of the original stories, but transforms Pegasus into a symbol of personal growth and empowerment. His wings become metaphors for Hercules' own journey of self-discovery. In this reimagining, the flying horse is not just a tool for adventure, but an integral part of the hero's transformation. A transformation that reflects the idea of overcoming one's fears and embracing a larger sense of purpose. Beyond the screen, Pegasus's symbolic presence in modern storytelling also extends to video games. In many adventure and fantasy games, the winged horse is used as both a companion and an essential part of the journey. For example, in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the character can summon a mythical creature reminiscent of Pegasus to aid them on their quest. This fantastical creature, as in ancient myth, represents freedom and the ability to transcend the boundaries of the physical world. In the context of video games, Pegasus takes on a more interactive role, becoming part of the player's journey to explore expansive worlds, conquer challenges, and grow as a character. Additionally, in comics and graphic novels, Pegasus has been reimagined as both a powerful and vulnerable character. His wings, once symbols of absolute grace and divinity, now serve as metaphors for the fragility of freedom and the complexity of power. Through the visual art of comics, The imagery of Pegasus is used to express deeper emotional truths about human nature, our struggles to break free from external constraints, our desire for independence, and our need to find balance between strength and vulnerability. As a character in modern storytelling, Pegasus continues to evolve, taking on new meanings while retaining the core values that have made him a timeless figure. His transformation from a divine steed to a symbol of self-empowerment reflects the ways in which ancient myths can be reinterpreted to resonate with contemporary audiences. The winged horse no longer solely represents divine intervention or heavenly power. He also speaks to the universal desire for freedom, transcendence, and the ability to rise above one's challenges, be they internal or external. Through the continued reinterpretation of Pegasus, we are reminded that mythic figures can grow and change with the times while still maintaining the timeless truths they represent. Pegasus, who once flew across the skies in ancient myths, now soars through the pages of modern books, the frames of films, and the digital landscapes of video games, carrying with him the ideals of freedom and creative inspiration. His rebirth in modern storytelling shows us that myths are not just relics of the past. They are living stories, adaptable and dynamic, capable of inspiring new generations to reach for the stars. Pegasus's immortality, like his flight, stretches across time, unwavering and endless. His wings, once powerful enough to carry him from the earth to the heavens, continue to soar, untouched by the passage of time. Though he has transcended the mortal realm and found his place among the stars, his essence remains forever linked to the human experience. His flight, an eternal metaphor for the yearning to rise above limitations and explore the boundless expanse of possibility. In a world that is often defined by the constraints of time, space, and circumstance, the eternal flight of Pegasus serves as a powerful reminder of the potential for transcendence. His wings, unbroken and infinite, symbolize the idea that there is always the possibility to rise above the ordinary, to reach for the stars, and to achieve something greater than what is immediately apparent. His flight is an embodiment of freedom, not a freedom defined by escape from responsibility, but by the boundless potential to grow, create, and evolve. In many ways, the eternal flight of Pegasus mirrors the journey of the human spirit. Throughout history, individuals have sought to break free from the confines of their circumstances, to rise above adversity, and to explore the unknown. Like Pegasus, they are driven by an inner yearning to transcend the limitations of the world around them. His wings, stretched wide across the heavens, are an eternal symbol of that human pursuit, the desire to reach beyond the ordinary and achieve the extraordinary. Pegasus's eternal flight also represents the constancy of divine inspiration. As the steed of the Muses, the winged horse was the vehicle through which creativity, poetry, and art flowed into the world. His unbroken flight across the sky is a reminder that inspiration, like the divine, is constant and ever-present. Even in moments of doubt or struggle, the creative spark, the desire to create something beautiful, meaningful, and transformative, is always available, always ready to lift those who seek it to greater heights. The eternal flight of Pegasus is also a reflection of the cyclical nature of existence. In the same way that the seasons change, the stars shift, and the cosmos moves through its endless patterns, Pegasus's flight is a reminder that life is a journey of continual growth and evolution. The winged horse, whose wings beat with the rhythm of the universe, embodies the idea that even in moments of stillness, movement is constant, whether in the heavens above or within the hearts and minds of those who seek their place in the world. The flight of Pegasus is both metaphorical and physical. In the vastness of the sky, his wings carry him across the stars. But his true journey is not just through space, it is through time, through the collective memory of humanity. Pegasus's immortality means that his flight is not bound by the constraints of a single era or a single culture. His image, his essence, is passed down through generations, inspiring all who encounter his story. In this way, the eternal flight of Pegasus is a form of storytelling. It is a tale that is passed from one person to another, one generation to the next, carrying with it the themes of freedom, inspiration, and divine grace. Each retelling, each reinterpretation of the myth adds a new layer of meaning to the figure of Pegasus, ensuring that his flight remains relevant and resonant in every age. The beauty of Pegasus's eternal flight is that it invites participation. Just as the ancient Greeks looked up at the night sky and saw in Pegasus a symbol of divine inspiration, so too do modern storytellers, artists, and dreamers see in him a call to reach beyond the ordinary and strive for something greater. The flight of Pegasus is not just a passive event in the sky, but an active invitation to those who gaze upon it to partake in the journey, to rise above their challenges, to embrace their potential, and to soar toward the stars. Whether in the form of a poem, a painting, a film, or a video game, Pegasus continues to inspire those who seek beauty and meaning in the world. His eternal flight is a reminder that the search for greatness, for transcendence, and for divine inspiration is not bound by time or circumstance. It is a journey that continues ever onward through the stars, through the stories we tell, and through the lives we live. Pegasus's eternal flight, then, is a call to action. It urges us to embrace the limitless possibilities that exist within us, to break free from the constraints of our surroundings, and to rise above the challenges that face us. Just as Pegasus's wings carry him across the heavens, so too can we use our own wings, our creativity, our imagination, our resilience, to soar toward our own highest potential. The flight of Pegasus is not a distant, unattainable ideal. It is a reality that exists within each of us. His wings are a metaphor for the boundless potential we each carry within us, waiting to be awakened. His eternal flight is a reminder that the journey toward greatness is always within reach, and that, like the winged horse, we too can rise above the ordinary and achieve the extraordinary. As Pegasus continues to soar across the heavens, his legacy endures, shifting and evolving through the ages, but always maintaining the core symbolism of freedom, inspiration, and transcendence. His image, once tied to the myths of ancient Greece, has evolved into a timeless emblem that reaches across cultures and generations, inspiring all who seek to rise above their limitations and explore the boundless potential of the human spirit. The symbolism of Pegasus, like the stars themselves, is enduring. He is not simply a mythical figure from a distant past, but a living, breathing symbol of the ideals we hold dear: the pursuit of beauty, the quest for higher knowledge, and the journey of self-discovery. His wings, which once carried him from the mortal world to the divine, now carry the very essence of creativity and possibility. Pegasus's flight is not limited by the constraints of time or space. It is an eternal journey that reflects the limitless potential of all who dare to dream, to create, and to soar. One of the most enduring aspects of Pegasus's symbolism is his connection to the Muses, the divine daughters of Zeus who embody the arts and inspire creativity. Pegasus, as their faithful steed, became a symbol of the divine inspiration that drives artists, musicians, poets, and thinkers. His wings, once a tool for his own flight, became a representation of the ability to transcend the earthly realm and reach for something higher. Just as Pegasus carried the Muses across the skies, so too do artists use their own wings, their creativity, imagination, and passion to create works that inspire and uplift others. In this sense, Pegasus has become a symbol not just of artistic inspiration, but of the human capacity for creation and transformation. His flight, so graceful and effortless, reminds us that the act of creation is not about struggle or hardship, but about transcendence. The ability to move beyond the ordinary and reach for something extraordinary. The artist, like Pegasus, takes flight, rising above the mundane and transforming the world with their vision. Pegasus's symbolism extends beyond the world of the arts, however. He is also a symbol of freedom, freedom from the limitations imposed by the world, by society, and even by the self. His wings allow him to rise above the earth, to transcend the boundaries of mortality and reach the heavens. In this way, Pegasus represents the human desire for liberation, the desire to break free from the constraints that hold us back and to pursue our highest potential. His flight is a reminder that true freedom is not the absence of challenges, but the ability to rise above them, to transcend them, and to find the strength within ourselves to achieve greatness. Throughout history, Pegasus has been adopted as a symbol by countless organizations and movements. His image appears in logos, emblems, and crests, signifying ideals of strength, resilience, and boundless potential. From the ancient Greeks to modern-day institutions, the winged horse has been a powerful visual shorthand for the aspirations of individuals and societies. Pegasus is used to represent companies, universities, and institutions that aim to inspire and elevate those who come into contact with them. In each case, the image of Pegasus serves as a reminder that the journey toward greatness is not only possible, but within reach. In the modern world, the symbolism of Pegasus has found a new resonance in the digital age. As we reach for new heights of knowledge, creativity, and connection, the image of the winged horse serves as a reminder that technology and innovation can also carry us beyond the confines of the ordinary. Just as Pegasus ascended from the earth to the heavens, so too can we ascend in our understanding of the world, our ability to create, and our capacity to connect with others. The limitless potential of the digital world, like the boundless skies Pegasus flies through, offers us the opportunity to soar to new heights. The enduring symbol of Pegasus is not only one of freedom and transcendence, but of unity. As he soars through the heavens, he brings together the divine and the mortal, the celestial and the earthly. Pegasus's flight represents the possibility of bridging the gap between these realms, showing us that the divine and the human are not separate, but intertwined. Just as the gods have guided Pegasus, so too can we be guided by the divine inspiration that exists within us, whether we choose to see it as divine, creative energy, or as a force for change and growth. The image of Pegasus flying across the night sky is a reminder that the journey of life, though filled with challenges and obstacles, is ultimately one of transcendence. Pegasus's wings, though capable of carrying him across vast distances, are not just tools of physical flight. They are symbols of the human capacity to rise above the mundane, to dream, and to create. The enduring power of Pegasus's symbolism lies in its ability to transcend time, place, and culture, reminding us that the pursuit of greatness, beauty, and freedom is an eternal part of the human experience. In a world that often seems filled with constraints and limitations, Pegasus's flight offers a vision of what is possible when we break free of those boundaries. He is not simply a creature of legend, but a symbol of the potential that lies within all of us. His wings carry with them the possibility of transformation, the ability to rise above, and the freedom to explore the boundless universe. Pegasus's enduring legacy is a call to each of us to take flight, to reach for something higher, and to embrace the freedom and creativity that lie within. As the final chapter of the myth of Pegasus unfolds, his legacy remains etched in the sky, not only as a constellation, but as a symbol of the eternal journey toward freedom, transcendence, and divine inspiration. The winged horse, who once soared above the earth, leaving behind a trail of awe and wonder, has become an immortal figure, a constant presence in the night sky, reminding all who gaze upon him that the journey of life, though fleeting, is one of possibility and transformation. The story of Pegasus begins with his birth from the blood of Medusa, a moment of divine intervention that turned tragedy into beauty, darkness into light. From that moment, Pegasus was destined for greatness, not as a mere steed, but as a symbol of grace, creativity, and the freedom to soar above the ordinary. His wings, once unfurled, carried him into the heavens, where he became the steed of the muses, inspiring poets, artists, and dreamers across the ages. His flight was not just a means of transportation, but a metaphor for the transcendence of the human spirit, the desire to rise above the confines of mortal existence and reach for something greater. In the mythological journey of Pegasus, we see not just a divine creature, but a reflection of the human longing to transcend limitations. Whether through art, poetry, or intellectual pursuit, humans have always sought to rise above the struggles of daily life and explore the vast expanse of possibility that lies beyond. Pegasus, with his wings spread wide, became the embodiment of that desire, a living testament to the idea that, despite the challenges we face, there is always the potential to soar toward greatness. Pegasus's role as a symbol of freedom and transcendence has only grown more significant as time has passed. In modern times, his image continues to inspire individuals from all walks of life. Whether they are artists creating masterpieces, entrepreneurs building new ventures, or dreamers imagining a better world. The wings of Pegasus are not just a part of ancient mythology, but a living symbol of the potential for self-empowerment, creative expression, and the pursuit of personal and collective freedom. But the legacy of Pegasus is not merely about personal achievement. His flight also symbolizes the eternal connection between the mortal and the divine, the human and the cosmic. As a constellation, Pegasus serves as a reminder that the divine is not a distant, unreachable force, but something that exists within each of us. His wings are a bridge between the earth and the heavens, between the finite and the infinite, and they beckon all who seek meaning and inspiration to rise toward something higher. His flight reminds us that, like him, we are part of a larger story, one that is constantly unfolding in the stars above us, in the world around us, and within our own hearts. Throughout the ages, Pegasus has remained a constant presence in the stories we tell, the art we create, and the ideals we strive to embody. His eternal flight across the heavens reflects the enduring nature of his symbolism. The idea that no matter where we come from, no matter what challenges we face, we all have the potential to rise above and reach for something greater. His wings are not just a means of escape, but a vehicle for transformation, a reminder that through perseverance, creativity, and courage, we can transcend the limits of the mundane world and explore the vast, uncharted realms of the unknown. In every generation, the story of Pegasus is retold, reinterpreted, and adapted, but his core symbolism remains unchanged. He is not just a figure of myth, but a living, breathing metaphor for the human quest for freedom, beauty, and divine inspiration. Whether in the stars above or in the hearts of those who continue to look to the heavens for guidance, Pegasus's legacy is timeless. In the end, the flight of Pegasus is not just a journey across the heavens, it is a journey within. His wings are a metaphor for the inner strength and potential that lies within each of us, waiting to be awakened. As we face the challenges of our own lives, we can look to Pegasus for inspiration, a reminder that, like the winged horse, we too have the power to rise above the obstacles that stand in our way and to soar toward the infinite possibilities that await us. The story of Pegasus is not a tale that ends with his ascension to the stars. It is a story that continues to inspire, to lift, and to guide us. Just as his flight transcended the boundaries of the mortal realm, so too can we transcend the limitations of our own lives and rise towards something greater. The wings of Pegasus are a symbol of the eternal human spirit, a spirit that is always capable of flight, always capable of reaching for the stars. As we conclude the story of Pegasus, we are left with an eternal image that transcends time, space, and culture. The winged horse, born from the blood of Medusa and destined for the stars, continues to inspire all who seek freedom, creativity, and transcendence. His flight across the heavens is not just a myth. It is a symbol of the human spirit's boundless potential to rise above adversity, to embrace the divine spark within, and to soar towards something greater. From the ancient Greeks to modern storytellers, from artists to dreamers, the legacy of Pegasus has endured, reminding us that we too have wings, wings to rise above, to break free, and to embrace the limitless possibilities that lie before us. In the quiet, eternal flight of Pegasus, we find the courage to face our own challenges, to find inspiration in the world around us, and to reach for the stars. As you gaze upon the stars tonight, remember that Pegasus is there, soaring gracefully above, a symbol of the divine and the infinite potential within us all. May his legacy continue to inspire and guide you as you embark on your own journey toward freedom, creativity, and transcendence. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the myth of Pegasus. May his wings carry you toward your highest aspirations, always reminding you to reach for the stars.